Hello and welcome back to the Fight Back Falls channel. Today I'd like to discuss how poor fitness increases your risk of fall. But before I continue, I'd just like to remind you to like, share, comment, or subscribe to this channel. And I hope you've been enjoying the information, the content that has been produced by this channel, and that it's enabling, equipping, and educating you on how to combat falls. And please feel free to leave DM me if that will help in answering some of your questions that you might have about this video or other videos produced by this channel. So, like I said, we're looking at poor fitness and how that affects your risk or increase your risk of falls. I deliberately chose this photo because it's not the typical photo you see when you think about the elderly. And I deliberately included these photos because I'm about to show you the photos that are usually associated or we've come to associate with the elderly. Can you relate? So it's always somebody with a walking aid of some sort, whether that's a stick, a crutch, or a walker, or sat in a wheelchair, and even or national road signs depict somebody bent over with a walking stick, indicating very slow, and yes, that image that we have of being unfit. So, how do you see it? Are you in the first set of photos where we've got very active elderly individuals, or are you in the second set of photos which are showing elderly and infirmed? You may or may not be surprised to know that the elderly and infirmed are actually in the minority. Yes, I didn't have a Freudian slip. Yes, they are in the minority. But the good news is that education about falls is very important, to whether you're very active or whether your activity is restricted. So let's look at fitness. And what does that mean? Well, fitness is your ability to meet the demands of your environment, and it's your optimal health and well-being. So there are a few words in this photo which depict fitness, which you may or may not agree with. Fitness, enjoyment, medical care, relaxation, maintenance, gym. Gym is something that people tend to identify with fitness, dieting, exercise. Your mind health is also very important when it comes to fitness. Okay, because you're very sharp then. Again, that's something that comes with, which is usually associated with aging, I should say, and that's impaired cognition. So, like, you're not as quick and as witty as you were in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, even. You're not remembering things as quickly as you normally would, that sort of thing. And your fitness, believe it or not, will affect or will impact your mental agility, so to speak. So these are 5 questions that you can use to determine how fit or unfit you are. Okay? Can you carry out your daily, everyday tasks with robustness, sharpness, without tiredness, with energy left over for your hobbies or your leisure activities, and energy left over for emergencies. Okay, so if you've answered yes to any of those questions, then it's time for you to look at doing something about um, those questions that you answered yes to. So before we move further into what you need to be doing, let's just look at how poor fitness increases your risk of fall. So one, the effects of activity restriction due to injury following a fall. So if you've had a fall, um, uh, more often than not, you will tend to restrict your activity or restrict that activity that you were doing to cause the fall. And so in doing so, your muscles, joints aren't getting that movement that you would normally do. And so over time, you become uh, weaker, less agile, and so increasing your risk of falls. Number two is with poor fitness, your ability to carry out your day to day activities is decreased. And again, that ties in with reason number one, where you're not doing as much as you used to, you become unfit, and so that increases your risk of falling. Number three is that feeling of not having enough energy to do daily activities because you're so unfit. Everything's a struggle, everything's an effort. I'm sure you can relate. If you're a faller, you can relate to this. You just don't have that get up and go, that drive to get going. And so that can increase your risk of falling. Feeling anxious or depressed about doing things that you once wouldn't think twice about doing. Again, that ties in somewhat with number three, in that because you're feeling so anxious or depressed, even or both, um, you avoid activities that you would normally do without batting lid. And so that again increases your risk of falling because that is going to affect your concentration. And with your concentration being affected, you're either not attending to what you're meant to be doing, or you're attending too much to the worry of what could happen. And therefore, that increases your risk, could increase your risk of falling. Decreased confidence in walking or doing your shopping or doing the laundry, for example, will increase your risk of falling. Again, you're worrying so much, you do not concentrate on, oh, actually, there's a puddle on the floor there, or there's an obstacle there, or the surface has changed um, where I was walking, and therefore that can increase your risk of falling. That feeling of helplessness and not wanting to be a burden, leading to social isolation. So you might have had a fall, or you're feeling you lack the energy, you lack the robustness that I spoke about, or you lack flexibility. So you need help, but rather than asking for that help, that feeling of embarrassment that you're having to ask for help, you start to limit what you can physically do, and you're starting to isolate yourself because you don't want to have to say to somebody, actually, I'm afraid of doing my shopping because I'm afraid of falling. And yes, it's silly because you know there are family members, there are neighbors there who would readily just drop something and help you, give you the help that you require. But it's that sense of, oh my gosh, I'm losing my independence here. And therefore, I do not want what's going to happen to me, that worry. Am I going to lose my house? Will I have to go into care? Will I need carers? And all those thoughts keep coming up. And the other reason where why poor fitness could increase your risk of falling is that you're unable to save yourself if you lost your balance. So, like I said, you might have a pet who decides to be playful at the time when you're about to get something, and without you recognizing what's going on, they run between your legs, you slip, and because you're not fit enough, because remember, fitness has to do with agility as well, before you know it, you're on the floor. Okay, so these are just some risks or some reasons why poor fitness increase your risk of falling. So what can you do about this poor fitness problem? I'm glad you asked. Okay, workout. And I know you know this. I know you know about exercise and yes, I should be active and all of that. But that is the answer. There's a lot of research that has been done which shows this to be of benefit. And but workout, there's so much information in the media, um, whether that's social or mainstream media, talking about how important workout is to your fitness. Yeah, we know that, but why don't we do it? So the the information can be quite generalized as well. What I'd like to share with you is that for your needs, especially when it comes to falls, your program needs to be tailored to meet your needs. So it's not your general get up and I'll run, half a mile or 2 miles. No, it's what do you need, and progressing or moving through that program where you will remain committed to the program. Okay, but just going back to tailored to meet your needs. Okay, so what exactly should you be doing? Well, your exercise program or your workout program should include things that's going to improve your heart and lung health, and that will help with you having the energy and the vigor to the vigor to keep doing or meeting the demands of your daily activity, daily day-to-day life. You need to be doing your program should include a strengthening element as well, and this could be things like squats, bench press, back press, um, sit to stand um, activity. So, getting up from a chair and increasing the speed, the number of times you're doing that as a part of your exercise program. Strengthening exercises, if you go to my video on how muscle weakness increases your risk of falls, that will give you a bit more detail on how to strengthen your muscles. Power is also important, so that's quickly doing things quickly, which is going to increase your ability to save yourself should you have a fall. Balance. Balance activity is very, very important to minimizing your risk of falls when within your fitness regime. And that's going to include things like coordination, things like agility, things like doing two things at once. That's preparing you for reduced risk. And the all important, another important element of your tailored program should include flexibility. You can get this through yoga, but if you haven't got access to a yoga class or something, you can just think about stretches, normal everyday stretches, stretching the muscles in your arms, legs, and also your back, chest and back. So very important flexibility So, just to recap, you want your tailored program should include an aerobic element, which is going to improve your heart and lung um, health, strengthening exercises, which will improve your muscle and joints health, um, power, which is going to improve your agility, balance, which is helping you to save yourself should you have a stumble or a trip or a slip, and flexibility, which is keeping those joints and muscles supple and healthy to reduce pain and stiffness. And if you go to my video on stiffness, you will get some information there on how stiffness can also increase your risk of falls. But in addition to these exercises, you're also wanting to do activities more based around your hobbies. So that might be cycling, it might be Tai Chi, it might be things that you enjoy doing, gardening, for example. But that's helping you to associate this exercise program being of benefit to your day to day life, and also working towards those goals that you might have set that you'd like to achieve, where the poor fitness has been a limiting factor in you achieving these activities. A commitment to this program daily is very, very essential and important for you to reap the benefits of embarking on such a program. How much and how hard do you need to work out? Well, like I said before, you're wanting to do this every day, but you're wanting to exercise at a moderate to high intensity. And in fact, research has shown that with high intensity and resistance exercises, that bone loss, which occurs with aging, is prevented. Because when you exercise, when you're doing all these high impact, high resistance exercises, what happens is that it stimulates bone growth. Okay, so how, sorry, and also the exercises that you're doing should include a, some amount of standing. You can't just sit. I just like to dispel that myth about chair exercises. They're important to a point, but to combat falls, you need to be doing exercises where you're up on your feet, weight bearing exercises. You need to be doing these activities in different settings. So, not just a controlled setting, because normal world, normal life isn't controlled. You're going to have your uneven surfaces, you're going to have your curbs, you'll have those tiles along the footpath that aren't secure. So you need to be preparing yourself for the real world by exercising in different environments. And last but not least, you need to be looking at like walking and counting backwards, which will help you to be able to divide your attention when you're walking. Because let's say when you're in the kitchen, for example, you're not thinking about having to think about walking and preparing a meal. No, you're thinking, I need the salt, I need the tomatoes, I need the onions, and you're just going to various places in the kitchen to get the ingredients that you need for that meal. So it's important to be, as a part of your regime, to look at doing at least two activities at once. So, when should you expect to start seeing results? Well, if you're exercising daily, you would be looking at about 6 weeks at least to see the real benefits, the significant benefits. But that's provided you do the exercises consistently. Now, there's something that I need to share. I've mentioned in this video about high impact, high resistance. It's very important if you haven't done any exercises at all, if you're very unfit, you need to, one, consult with your doctor to ensure that it's safe, and two, you might want to um, instruct a physiotherapist or a physical instructor to gradually ease you into a program. And just to say, if you're in the UK, if you go onto the NHS website, there are applications there, there are videos, there are articles which can also help you to get started on your program. Sorry. And so the benefits then of exercising, or fitness, I should say, include it will decrease the number of falls. It should improve your confidence and mood. It improves the bone and muscle health, which I spoke about earlier in the video. It decreases the risk of injury. So if the fitter you are, the more likely you will be in saving yourself, so to speak, if you lost your balance. And also you'll be more active in terms of your reaction to the balance, the thing that threw you off balance, to help to save yourself. So thus reducing the risk of injury. And it improves your overall quality of life and well-being. You feel better in yourself, you feel better in your body, you feel better in your mind. You're out and about socializing with family, friends, and it's a win-win situation. So that's the return on your investment of investing your time, your effort into preventing falls. It's a lot cheaper, a whole lot cheaper, getting your balance and your fitness, sorry, up to scratch, rather than waiting for something to happen, like a fall, an injury, being in hospital, find you can't return home, you've got to go into care. Not to scare you, but these are common things that happen, or common sequence of what can happen if you leave it too late to do something about the falls before an injury occur. So I hope you found this video informative. And like I said, please do like, share, subscribe, or comment on this video if you found it helpful. Thank you. See you next time.